bottle.
Looking back at old camera phones, I'd look really dark, really washed out. Emma looks great. I look dreadful. You can only see me teeth. When I take a photo using this phone, it's more true to life. It's what we look like. I'm AJ, and I've got a Google Pixel.
Nicola Sturgeon's husband arrested over a probe into the finances of the Scottish National Party. Peter Murrell, former chief executive of the SNP, was arrested at the couple's home and is being questioned by detectives who are also searching several properties. It's less than 2 weeks since the party elected a new leader.
I was told this morning after the event, and of course my reaction, as you'd imagine, much like anybody involved in the SNP, is that this is a difficult day.
The SNP says it's cooperating fully with an ongoing investigation and that today's development was not linked to Nicola Sturgeon's resignation. Also tonight. Abhorrent and cruel. 21 people convicted of sexual offences against young children in Warsaw and Wolverhampton, their crimes spanning almost a decade. A damning report concludes that racism is rife at every level of elite rugby. We speak to a former England player who experienced it firsthand. It was chaos last weekend at Dover, so what are the plans to avoid similar scenes this Easter and how could it affect planned getaways? Plus, she goes by Power Pam, the 86-year-old who's lifting her way to local fame.
This is the ITV Evening News with Lucrezia Millerini.
Good evening. A police swoop on a house in a quiet cul-de-sac in Glasgow this morning shook the Scottish Government to its core. The husband of Nicola Sturgeon, who herself only recently stepped away from being Scotland's First Minister, was arrested over an investigation into the finances of the SNP. Peter Murrell, the party's former chief executive, is tonight being questioned by detectives. Their home was searched and police were also at SNP headquarters in Edinburgh. Well, Ms Sturgeon's successor, Humza Yousaf, described the arrest as a difficult day, but said he didn't believe the events were linked to her resignation. Our Scotland correspondent Peter Smith reports.
They were Scotland's most powerful couple for almost a decade. Now the home of Nicola Sturgeon and Peter Murrell is being searched by police. Investigators arrived around 8:30 this morning. Sturgeon was seen leaving about 20 minutes before they got here, but her husband, the former chief executive of the SNP, has been arrested. Peter Murrell is considered a suspect in connection with the ongoing investigation into funding and finances in the Scottish National Party. The man who just last week succeeded Nicola Sturgeon as SNP leader was today asked about this arrest.
I was told this morning after the event, and of course my reaction, as you'd imagine, much like anybody involved in the SNP, is that this is a difficult day for the party. But again, I just reiterate and emphasise it's so important for me not to comment on a live police investigation.
Police have set up an incident tent in the front garden. Every room in this property is being searched. There's even police looking through the back garden and the back garden shed. Items of interest are being boxed up and taken away. The SNP headquarters in Edinburgh was also raided today. Dozens of boxes were filled with evidence for the investigation. Opposition parties are now asking questions about transparency in Scotland's party of government.
We need big answers about what's happened here. Of course, the police must be allowed to do their job. But this is a First Minister who already has demonstrated he has the wrong priorities. He is distracted by what's happening in his own party, mired in scandal, mired in division.
Peter Murrell and Nicola Sturgeon married in 2010. He was SNP chief executive. She became party leader and First Minister, though he always denied this was inappropriate.
She's been a minister for a very long time and we just don't talk about government business.
Together they delivered electoral dominance in Scotland. But in February, Nicola Sturgeon announced she was resigning on her own terms. Then last month, Peter Murrell resigned under pressure. He took responsibility for inaccurate press statements that falsely inflated the SNP's membership numbers. Today, Nicola Sturgeon's predecessor gave his response to events in his old party.
Look, I led the SNP for a long time, so I'm very sad about what's happening to it, and indeed about what it's become.
Nicola Sturgeon has still not returned home. She's expected to stay away while the search at her house continues. Her husband, Peter Murrell, remains in custody and is tonight still being questioned by detectives.
Well, Peter is outside Nicola Sturgeon and Peter Murrell's house in Glasgow this evening. Peter, we can see activity still going on behind you, but what happens now?
Well, firstly, the search is still ongoing. Police are still removing items of interest. And Peter Murrell, as I say, is still in custody, still being questioned by detectives at Police Scotland. They have powers to hold him for up to 12 hours, although if need be, that can be extended by another 12 hours. Now, this is a police investigation that goes back 18 months. It started when police were looking into what happened to a sum of just over £600,000 that was raised by independence campaigners for the purposes of Scotland gaining independence. But of course, there never has been an independence referendum for that money to be spent on. And questions were asked when the SNP accounts showed that the party had just under £97,000 in the bank at the end of 2019. So people were saying what was done with this money that was supposed to have been ring-fenced. Then last year it emerged that Peter Murrell, the SNP's chief executive, had given a loan of more than £100,000 to the SNP to help out with what was described as cash flow issues after the last election. Now, we're talking about a couple that have been Scotland's most powerful couple for over a decade now. As the new SNP leader says, it's a difficult day for the SNP, and Police Scotland say a report will now be sent to Scotland's Public Prosecution Service.
All right, Peter in Glasgow, thank you. It can be reported tonight that after a series of trials, a total of 21 people have been convicted in one of the biggest child sex abuse cases ever investigated by West Midlands Police. 7 victims, aged up to 12 years old, were abused over almost a decade in the Walsall and Wolverhampton areas. Well, Mark Goff is in Birmingham for us tonight. Mark, what more can you tell us?
Well, let me just share with you some of the words of the people who were involved in the investigation and the prosecution of this case. A catalogue of depravity, they said. The abuse was abhorrent and cruel and left the children in extreme trauma. As you say, 21 people have now been convicted of this abuse and they've received a variety of sentences from as low as community orders for 3 years right up until a life sentence. James Evans, he received a life sentence with a minimum of 18 years for 4 counts of rape of a child and 13 other charges. David Baker got 21 years for 2 counts of rape and 4 other charges. And Natalie Wellington got 17 years for sexual assault of a child and 3 other charges. Well, the head of the investigation, Detective Chief Superintendent Paul Drover, said at the heart of this case where the 7 children who suffered the most abhorrent and cruel abuse, not just physically but psychologically, leaving them in extreme trauma. But he praised those children for coming forward and giving evidence.
We need to pay tribute and we need to commend, firstly, the victims for having the courage, to having the confidence to trust in people again, to come and disclose and to talk to us about what had gone on. And also to the jury members, we've asked a lot and they've been through a lot over the weeks and months, and I'd like to pass my gratitude and thanks on to them as well.
Well, social services, of course, were involved at the outset from this case. And in fact, they too praised the children, and they also said that some of the children are still receiving their care and support. Tonight, the Crown Prosecution Service said, apart from one of the offenders who'd admitted what they did, not one of the rest has shown the slightest remorse for the abuse that they carried out over a decade.
Mark in Birmingham, thank you. The reverberations are still being felt today from the speech made by Donald Trump after his court appearance in New York. In a defiant address to supporters at his Florida resort, he claimed the case had been brought to interfere with the 2024 presidential election. Mr. Trump, who pleaded not guilty to 34 charges, is the first US president to face a criminal trial, a trial which could go ahead early next year. From Florida, Robert Moore reports.
Today, Donald Trump, a former president and now criminal defendant, is once more behind the walls of his Florida estate. Yesterday was one of the lowest points of his tumultuous life. But we also witnessed the extraordinary resilience of his support. Loyalists lining the road from the airport, welcoming him home. These are crowds who see the indictment not as a source of shame, but as a badge of honor. Back at his Mar-a-Lago resort, Trump launched a scathing attack on the indictment, first targeting the New York Attorney General.
Alvin Bragg of New York, who campaigned on the fact that he would get President Trump. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him.
Then Trump spoke of his humiliation in that New York courtroom. A moment that may have changed the contours of the 2024 presidential race.
Now they have really stepped up their efforts by indicting the 45th president of the United States, who received $75 million votes, which is more than any sitting president in the history of our country.
It's clear that Trump's ordeal in New York has only embittered him further.
Our justice system has become lawless. They're using it now, in addition to everything else, to win elections.
This was a speech playing to his core supporters, galvanizing them, seeking to turn legal peril into political advantage. One of his top allies and fundraisers told ITV News the indictment has just given Trump a huge boost.
This is all political. It's disgusting. The witch hunts need to end.
And do you feel like this is going to set back Donald Trump's presidential hopes?
No, absolutely not. It enhanced him. Are you kidding me? He went up 10 points today in the polls. The evil just made a bad move. This is a spiritual battle of epic proportion.
The supporters are out here on the streets of West Palm Beach to show support and solidarity. But wherever Donald Trump and his legal team look, there is further jeopardy ahead.
And with a very dark cloud.
Multiple investigations are still underway, all more serious than the New York case.
Nevertheless, that we will make America great again. Thank you very much.
And this legal and political drama will soon collide.
Thank you very much.
With the start of the next presidential campaign. Robert Moore, ITV News, Florida.
So, what are the charges against the former president? Well, Mr. Trump is facing 34 counts of falsifying business records, to which he pleads not guilty. They are all felony charges, more serious than misdemeanor charges. The allegations include that between August 2015 and December 2017, he orchestrated a series of hush money payments. $30,000 was allegedly paid to a former Trump Tower doorman over claims about a child of Mr. Trump born out of wedlock. $150,000 was also allegedly paid to a woman known as Woman One, understood to be former Playboy model Karen McDougal, who claimed she had an affair with Mr. Trump. And 12 days before the presidential election, $130,000 was allegedly sent to a lawyer of the adult film star Stormy Daniels. Our US correspondent Dan Rivers joins us now from Washington. Dan, in the face of all of this, what next for Donald Trump?
Well, this case goes to court again on the 4th of December, but it may be superseded, as Robert alluded to, by other potentially more serious cases, most notably the one in Fulton County, Georgia, which centres around alleged election interference. This is the case where Donald Trump rang an election official saying that he only needed 11,780 more votes. That case, we're told, is coming very close to a possible indictment, perhaps even by the end of this month. In terms of the Manhattan case that came to court yesterday, well, the judge warned him to be very careful about criticising either the judge or the district attorney, but Donald Trump seems to be doubling down on his rhetoric, on his social media posts. In the last few hours, he's called on Republicans to defund the Department of Justice and the FBI, and he described this as weaponizing law enforcement in the United States, saying that the indictment was morally disgusting. The other political implication of all this is that the Republican Party and some of his rivals for the nomination feel really that they've got no choice but to sort of coalesce behind him. Any sense of criticising this case in Manhattan or any of the other ones potentially would have them being accused of somehow siding with the Democrats.
All right, Dan in Washington, thank you. Here, a report by the Rugby Football Union has revealed that racism is rife at virtually every level in the sport. It said that in every area of elite rugby, players have experienced racism in some form. Players have told us that they feel vindicated by the findings, but the next stage is what to do about it. Stacey Foster reports.
At the height of his career for England, Luther Burrell was being racially abused. But he said he couldn't speak out about it for fear of losing his place in the team. Last summer, he did report comments about slavery and how he was mocked by his colleagues at Newcastle Falcons. The RFU said today that after an investigation, all of the allegations he made were true.
It took me several months to actually speak out in the first place, so it feels like it's been going on forever. I almost didn't do it. Fast forward, almost a year, and here we are. And I'm very happy that I have spoken out.
93 members of staff were interviewed, including players and coaches, and investigators found evidence of a racist term on a player's WhatsApp group. The Rugby Football Union has ruled out taking disciplinary action against the perpetrators because Luther Burrell didn't want to name them.
I don't want retribution, and it's never been about that for me. I don't want to put people under the spotlight and ruin their lives. I think if I'd have started naming the perpetrators, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. So, look, ultimately it was my dignity and I'll carry that torch.
As part of its own inclusion and diversity research, the RFU has found racism was a problem in every area of elite rugby. Inappropriate and discriminatory comments were not one-off incidents, and that reporting of discrimination was low across the whole sport. Floyd Steadman was the first black captain of a senior rugby union side when he played for Saracens in the 80s. He says this is a real moment for the game.
I had those experiences a generation ago, but a generation ago people weren't prepared to listen. Luther realised that yes, he will take some flack, but there will be enough good people that will listen.
The RFU says Luther spoke out because he wanted to eradicate racist behaviour from rugby union, but he says it hasn't been without consequences.
I don't think I'd be getting picked up by a Premiership club anytime soon. People think I've retired. I've not announced retirement.
Newcastle Falcons said had Luther gone to the HR department, it would have dealt with his allegations. But he hopes his actions will stop other players from leaving the sport. Stacey Foster, ITV News, Manchester.
There's plenty more to come on the ITV Evening News, including the struggle to survive. We're in a children's hospital in northern Syria where doctors are trying to cope with the number of premature babies after the earthquake.
They are like my baby or any other baby in the world.
After last weekend's travel chaos at the ports, find out if your Easter weekend travel plans will be affected. And Queen Camilla, the King's wife, gets a new title. We'll be back with that and more after the break.
At Waitrose, we never stop asking questions about the food you eat, starting at the source, every source. Where we ask things like, who caught that fish? And, are you being paid fairly? What's your name? Oh, right, okay. Lovely to meet you. So, can our value range also have good values? Well, he seems to think so. And where's the coolest place to age our cheddar? What? Sorry, are we in a cave?
Actually, this is the Wookiee hole.
Very cool indeed. Now, can we make meat-free, flavour-full?
This isn't meat.
Well, that's a yes. And does it really make a difference to hand-stretch dough? Okay, we'll keep hand-stretching our dough, because that looks amazing. When we ask more questions, we get to better answers. Waitrose. Food to feel good about.
Old pensions, unlike old offices, never go out of date. See the benefits of combining them into one plan with Standard Life.
Emma's got you covered for a peaceful night's sleep. Celebrate this Easter with great discounts in our big Easter sale at emma-sleep.co.uk.
Everyone, meet my boyfriend, Jake.
What's up, everyone?
What is all over your feet?
Oh, they're flowers. I study botany, so...
Oh, you're a plant guy. Resting dad face back there likes plants, too.
Grab some pruners. Let's prune.
When you paint by feeling, you can come home to a blooming good day. You can make any space feel like outer space. And your living room? Well, that can become the ride of your life. Change starts here. Dulux.
Well, I suppose I'm not your standard size. My thighs were just an inch too big for the fashion game. I mean, I tried other jobs, of course I did, but, yeah.
Hang on, what, no airbag?
And then I found Spoke and their custom-fit trousers. Finally, a brand that understands. We are all made different.
I love watching my two with their grandparents. The kids bring out their mischievous side. Being away on holiday together, I realise how lucky I am.
7-night Norwegian Fjords holidays from $6.99 per person.
What a thrill to feel alive, excitement's in the air. Seems like there's a rainbow smiling.
Whatever the day throws at you, our compact SUV is ready. Toyota Yaris Cross, self-charging hybrid.
Welcome back. 2 months on from the earthquake that destroyed towns, cities and communities in Turkey and Syria, the dreadful human cost is still being counted. ITV News crossed into northern Syria, where we saw firsthand how hospitals are struggling to cope in an area already devastated by years of war. A warning, Emma Murphy's report contains harrowing images of the reality of trying to save the lives of their youngest patients.
They are the babies of the quake, born as so many died, but born too soon, in a place of war waged by man and disaster wrought by nature.
We don't have an adequate equipment and we don't have enough medical service, device, drugs, etc. It's very difficult to say the people inside, in front of you, and we don't know what to do to save to these people and these boys and these girls.
3 years ago, I met Dr. Ikram as bombs fell around this hospital. They were overwhelmed then, but could at least send the sickest children to Turkey for care. Now, Turkey's medical system is also overwhelmed.
I want to feel that the people feeling with us. People dying every day here, and no one help us.
Every working incubator is now full, with no space left to care for new cases. More days than they can face counting, nurses lose the battle to save a young life. They tried and tried to keep this little boy alive, but their efforts were in vain. His life literally ebbed away in their hands less than an hour after he'd been born. Soon, his mother, like this mother, will be handed the lifeless body of her child to carry home. Somehow, she found words to reflect her loss.
أثر بكل شيء. يعني أول شيء توفى ابني.
So many of the children who did survive will live without limbs or relatives. Wael doesn't know that his mother and sister are dead. Doctors don't know for sure if they can save his arm. Noor is 2. She spent 60 hours under the rubble. Her mother and brother are dead. Only her father survived. She, like many others, will never know what it is to grow up with both her legs.
I'm very sad about them. They are like my baby or any other baby you know in the world.
12 years of war here has eroded hope. The earthquake has taken much of what's left, leaving survivors and their families fearful of the world around them and frightened of the land they live on. One day the war will end and there will be peace, but no one who survived this earthquake will ever feel truly safe. Emma Murphy, ITV News, Northern Syria.
The incredibly difficult reality of the challenges facing doctors in children's hospitals in northern Syria. A barge docked off the Dorset coast will hold around 500 asylum seekers for at least 18 months, the Home Office confirmed today. The government says basic and functional accommodation will be provided on the 3-storey barge, along with 24/7 security. It's part of a government plan to reduce the costly reliance on hostels. And parents and children of people who died after being infected with HIV and hepatitis during NHS treatment should be paid compensation immediately, according to the chair of an inquiry into contaminated blood. 30,000 people were infected in the 1970s and 80s. Jason Evans, who was just 4 when his dad died from AIDS, could now be eligible for an initial payment of £100,000.
The biggest thing for me personally is the recognition that they were infected and they died because they were infected, and that it was the fault of the state. And that recognition is the single biggest thing, in all honesty.
Thousands of Easter holiday makers faced disruption to their travel this weekend after plans were announced to try to head off another major snarl-up at Dover. Coach operators are being asked to amend some of their cross-channel bookings on Good Friday, the busiest day of the Easter break. Well, Chloe Keedy is in Dover for us this evening. Chloe, it doesn't sound like particularly good news, does it?
Well, I think it depends how you look at it, really, Lucrezia. The Port of Dover has been under a lot of pressure to come up with something on this. So I think there is some relief today that they have come up with a plan, but there'll also be a lot of people tonight wondering whether they're still going to get away on holiday on the day they thought they were this weekend. The aim is to avoid a repeat of what happened here last weekend, when thousands of coach passengers, many of them school children trying to get away on their Easter breaks, were delayed here for hours and hours on end, some for up to 18 hours, just trying to get into the port and onto a ferry. They are expecting fewer coaches to pass through here this weekend, but it's still going to be busy, and Good Friday is going to be the busiest day. So what they've said is that coaches that were due to leave that day will now be staggered over 3 days. Now, it's my understanding that most bookings that are moved will be moved to a different time on the same day, but some will be moved to a different day, and it'll be up to the coach companies to communicate those changes. Well, the coach companies are represented by a trade body called the CPT, and this is what they had to say about it.
If you've booked a tour which has hotel accommodation starting on Easter Saturday, you can't travel on Thursday. It's just not practical. For the longer term, we need a much better plan from the port and the ferry companies, which processes more coach companies at the time coach passengers want and need to travel to the continent.
Well, the port is also putting in a temporary facility here to help process coach passengers more quickly. The French Border Force are also putting on some extra staff, but certainly the CPT, who we just heard from there, told me earlier today they will be watching very closely to see how well it works.
Indeed. Chloe in Dover, thank you. King Charles and the Queen Consort Camilla visited a North Yorkshire market town today, their first engagement since Camilla's new title was revealed. From next month's coronation onwards, she'll be known as Queen Camilla, dropping the title of Consort. The change is understood to have been the late Queen Elizabeth's wish. Kelly Foran reports.
Big guests in this small town. Despite the rain, it was a warm welcome here for the King and soon-to-be Queen Camilla. They were getting a taste of Yorkshire as they visited local food producers. But there was only one topic of conversation on everyone's lips.
Are you honoured to be known as Queen, Your Majesty?
With just a month to go before the coronation, a glimpse of the invitation shows the official use of Queen Camilla for the first time. A public image that's transformed since the 1990s. At the time of her wedding in 2005 to the then Prince Charles, it was announced that she would use the title Princess Consort one day, a sensitive reflection of the public mood at the time.
She's had to be reintegrated into the royal family, or at least integrated into the royal family, of course, after the infamous divorce from Diana. So this is the palace fully accepting, embracing and proclaiming that Camilla is going to be a key part of Charles's reign.
Last year, the late Queen said it was her sincere wish that Camilla would become the Queen Consort.
I think the late Queen gave it her blessing, didn't she? So I think, therefore, we've got to respect that.
The Queen is Queen Elizabeth II. She's King Charles's wife, not the Queen.
I think it'll take a long time to stick. I think the society's probably got used to her known as the Queen Consort, and I think that will probably stay.
I think she's a lovely person and we all need to accept her as Queen now.
They were waved off from their Malton visit in a very royal fashion. Kelly Foran, ITV News, North Yorkshire.
It is just after 7 o'clock. You're watching the ITV Evening News. Here's what's still ahead before Emmerdale.
The minister has to pass you, and then you've got 10 minutes.
The Conservative MP caught on camera offering to lobby on behalf of the gambling industry.
They are remarkably relaxed around humans.
Why is the puffin population booming on this Welsh island?
And lots of us looking forward to the long bank holiday weekend. I'll have the full forecast, which you'll definitely need if you're planning a trip to the beach.
But first, President Biden revealed today that he is to visit Northern Ireland next week to mark the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. It was the 10th of April 1998, the day on which Good Friday fell that year, when the historic deal was ratified. Brokered by the then US President Bill Clinton, it was signed by Prime Minister Tony Blair and Ireland's Prime Minister Bertie Ahern. Its aim was to end the murderous sectarian violence of the Troubles that had blighted Northern Ireland for 3 decades. While senior international correspondent John Irvine witnessed the Troubles firsthand as a reporter, he's been back to assess the legacy of the agreement.
The Troubles is a rather banal title for the 30 years of bloody conflict being explained to visitors on this walking tour through Belfast.
If you take a year like 1972, there were 496 people killed here.
This conversation took place on a street nearby in 1972.
They had their hoods.
They had More than 3,700 people would be killed before the peace deal was reached at Stormont 25 years ago. Today, it's a case of dormant stormont. The Northern Ireland Assembly remains suspended as it has been for 40% of the time since its creation. Naomi Long wants to get beyond the divisions and leads the middle-of-the-road Alliance Party, the fastest growing political party in the province.
I think increasingly people are confident in defining their identity away from just green and orange, but a much more complex range of things, and recognise the uniqueness of our lived experience here in Northern Ireland, which sets us apart a little bit from everywhere else, but can be a positive thing if we use it for good.
But divisions aplenty remain. This is one of the so-called peace lines in Belfast, walls that separate Protestant and Catholic communities. These days, the barriers also attract tourists. One of the peace dividends has been an influx of foreign visitors. This is the first cruise ship of the season coming into Belfast yesterday. She'll be followed by roughly 200 other liners expected to dock here by November. Many of the tourists will want to learn about the most famous ship of them all, built in Belfast and launched into this loch in 1911. Since it opened 12 years ago, the exhibition Titanic Belfast has attracted more than 7 million people. Belfast may have built her, but during the Troubles, the Titanic was a taboo subject rarely talked about here. It was just another Belfast disaster story, overshadowed by fresh tragedies that were unfolding every day. Among the artefacts is the violin played by one of the musicians as the ship went down. This exhibition is part and parcel of Northern Ireland reconciling itself with its past, however painful that may be. Next week sees the anniversaries of both the sinking of Titanic and the signing of the agreement. This year also marks the 25th anniversary of the Omagh bomb, the deadliest of all the atrocities. This memorial is on the exact spot and seen through the prism of an outrage that claimed 29 lives. The Good Friday Agreement looks like a magnificent, merciful breakthrough. Donna Marie McGillian's niece was killed in the bombing, and she herself was so badly injured she was given the last rites 4 times. Her outlook today is an inspiration.
I've got 2 kids. I have to move on for them and for the family around me, because the amount of support and good that I would have witnessed and seen over the last 25 years has been unreal. And in that sense, you kind of know good always conquers evil.
Are you optimistic?
I'm always optimistic. You know, the glass is always half full here. So, I mean, look at all the stuff we've got since the Good Friday Agreement. Like, there's so many investments, and that never would have happened here if we hadn't had peace, because people were always too afraid to come. But we're not that bad, really. We're all quite good. This is a great wee country.
John Irvine, ITV News in Northern Ireland.
Let's get an update on what is making the news tonight. And Nicola Sturgeon's husband, Peter Murrell, has been arrested as part of a police investigation into the SNP's finances. The former chief executive of the party is being questioned by detectives. 21 people have been convicted of abhorrent and cruel sexual offences against young children in Walsall and Wolverhampton, abuse that spanned almost a decade. And a report by the Rugby Football Union has revealed that racism is rife at virtually every level in the sport. It's been claimed tonight that a Tory MP offered to lobby ministers on behalf of gambling industry investors. An undercover investigation by the Times newspaper claims investors proposed paying the MP for Blackpool South, Scott Benton, thousands of pounds a month. Our political correspondent, Harry Horton, is in Westminster. Harry, what more can you tell us?
Well, undercover Times journalists met with the Conservative MP Scott Benton last month. They were posing as gambling industry investors, and the MP suggested that he would be able to leak documents and ask questions on behalf of them to ministers. Now, the gambling industry has spent almost £200,000 in the past 2 years on corporate hospitality to dozens of MPs for different parties at a time when the government is considering introducing legislation to crack down on problem gambling. Now, during this meeting, which was recorded by secret cameras, Scott Benton said that he could provide behind-the-scenes information and access to ministers.
We vote in House Commons 2 or 3 times a day. The minister has to pass you, and then you've got 10 minutes while you walk around to the next vote to have his ear. There's written questions as well, where we can table things on the public record and get an instant response within 5 working days. And thirdly, we have access to papers and information which PR companies wouldn't.
Well, tonight, Downing Street, the Conservative Party and the Government Whip's office all not responding. Labour says that Scott Benton should have the Conservative Whip removed.
Now, Rishi Sunak has a choice. He can either suspend Scott Benton from the Conservative Whip immediately, or he can turn a blind eye and watch while another generation of Conservative MPs sinks down into sleaze.
Well, tonight, Scott Benton has said he was concerned that what was being asked of him was not within the rules. He said he contacted the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner before he was made aware that this company he was speaking to was in fact fake.
Harry in Westminster, thank you. The work of the bowel cancer campaigner Dame Deborah James raised more than £11 million. The funds raised so far by Bowel Babe are being distributed among new projects and treatments. Martha Fairley reports.
I'm Deborah James, otherwise known as a Bowel Babe. One thing that I wanted to do before I passed away was to set up the Bowel Babe Fund.
From her cancer diagnosis, aged 35, right up to her death last year, Dame Deborah James was an outspoken campaigner, using social media to raise awareness of signs of bowel cancer. Today, her mother spoke of her pride in her daughter's continuing legacy through the Bowel Babe Fund.
She set a target of 250,000, and I think within a day it hit 1 million, and she was just overwhelmed, as we all were. And I just wish she was here to see it was 11.3 million, but we're not going to stop there.
The money raised is now funding projects, including this one at the Institute of Cancer Research.
Cells do communicate, they share signals, and it's disrupting that communication that is a very exciting way forward to treat cancers.
Here, cutting-edge technology is being used to analyse billions of tumour cells to understand more about why cancer spreads and how to stop it.
What we know is that when bowel cancers do spread around the body, they're much harder to treat. So if we can work out what enables them to spread in the first place, we might be able to get in and stop that and improve outcomes for patients.
Deborah James was made a dame last year with a personal visit from Prince William while she was receiving end-of-life care. And to mark the first round of Bowel Babe research funding, a new video has been released, recorded before her death.
Every penny counts. I cannot thank you enough for your continued support of the Bowel Babe Fund. You are awesome.
Dame Deborah James is still inspiring others to carry on the work she started to fight bowel cancer. Martha Fairley, ITV News.
Now, with their colourful beaks and inquisitive expression, puffins are among the most enduringly popular of all seabirds. So at a time when UK bird populations are under threat, it's good to bring some positive news. Here's Rhys Williams.
They're known as the clowns of the sea. Pretty apt for birds with such colourful beaks, and there are more than enough here for their own special circus. Skomer Island's seabird population is thriving. This is one of the most protected parts of the entire UK. The marine conservation area which surrounds Skomer means that there's limited fishing in the waters as well as a speed limit for ships. Here on the island, there are strictly limited numbers allowed to visit, and of course, you have to stick to the path. It's all to protect the fragile burrows which pockmark the island off the coast of Pembrokeshire. Many of Skomer's residents nest underground. Puffins may be the main attraction, but Skomer is home to a diverse and record-breaking population of birds, from guillemots to herring gulls. The Welsh island is in stark contrast, though, to other parts of the UK, like the Farne Islands off the Northumberland coast, where bird flu has devastated the seabird population. Tens of thousands of wild animals have been killed across the UK.
You've got things like the guillemots packed into the cliffs, you know, shoulder to shoulder on the cliffs, and they could be potentially devastated by that.
Skomer's warden knows just one infected bird could ravage the island's avian population.
We were very lucky to get away with it last year. The nearest cases were just 6 or 7 miles away on Grassholm. You know, they had some big impacts on the gannet colonies out there, and we seemed to get away with it out here, but you just don't know what's going to happen this year, so a bit of a nervous season ahead, I think.
So far, it seems Skomer has been lucky. Last week's puffin count clocked more than 42,000 birds, the highest since records began. But the island is home to more than one charismatic and noisy species. Most visitors will never see them. At night, with the help of an infrared camera, you can catch a rare glimpse of the Manx shearwater, which migrate to Skomer from South America every spring to breed. These birds are so clumsy on land that it makes them uniquely vulnerable to predators, and so they only feel safe to come out at night. With so many negative things happening to our natural world, Skomer is a rare good news story. Its colourful residents are thriving, and with continued care and some luck, this tiny island will remain their haven. Rhys Williams, ITV News, Skomer Island.
Here's what's still to come before Emmerdale tonight. Powerlifting, Pam, and why it's never too late to take on a challenge.
And I'm in Southend with the Seagulls and the promise of some warmer days ahead, just in time for the long bank holiday weekend.
Join me and Becky for that in just a minute.
Well, I suppose I'm not your standard size. My thighs were just an inch too big for the fashion game. I mean, I tried other jobs, of course I did, but, yeah.
Hang on, what, no airbag?
And then I found Spoke and their custom-fit trousers. Finally, a brand that understands. We are all made different.
She's like the wind through my tree. She rides the night next to me. Feel her breath in my face, her body close to me.
Why walk when you can ride with the UK's fastest major broadband provider, Virgin Media. See what you can do.
When we're on holiday, Dad loves his food. The spicier the better. And he absolutely loves an adventure. Yep, that's my dad. He's just a big kid, excited to meet a turtle. What a holiday that was.
15-night Caribbean holidays from $1099 per person, atoll protected.
Easter deals on beds, you say?
That's right, Log. In the Dreams up to 50% off spring sale, till Tuesday, there's 20% off all Silent Night mattresses.
Dreams.
Welcome back. Now, if you're lucky enough to have some time off over the long Easter weekend, you may be thinking of a trip to the coast. So we've sent Becky Manton down to Southend to check out what's in store weather-wise. And Becky, how's it been today? People enjoying the beach there?
Yeah, loads of people enjoying the beach today. I have to say, though, it's a bit nippy now, though, but certainly welcome to Southend-on-Sea here on the Essex Sunshine Coast. It's definitely been living up to its name today. Whilst much of the UK has languished under cloud and rain, here in Southend earlier on, we were bathed in Easter holiday sunshine. Now, Southend has recently gained city status and has announced this week its pier has been awarded the coveted Pier of the Year 2023. It's the longest pleasure adventure pier in the world, stretching 1.33 miles into the Thames estuary, and it's a true survivor, having withstood storms, fires and collisions in its nearly 200-year history. Plenty of people making the most of the long-awaited sunshine here today, despite the, at times, rather chilly breeze. Now, if you're looking at those images of sunshine and then looking out of your window and seeing cloud and rain, don't worry too much. It is a mere blip, I promise you. We've had a frontal system slowly crossing across the UK, giving all that grotty weather. Takes its time to clear away through tomorrow, but we are expecting it to improve for the all-important Easter bank holiday weekend. Let's have a look at the detail.
Everywhere will be lovely and warm today. You might even be tempted to go for a dip. Heinz Seriously Good Mayonnaise sponsors ITV National Weather.
So, as I say, there was a bit of a blip today, although we did start off the week with a fairly promising note. Let's have a look ahead then to the detail for tomorrow. And we've got early rain clearing to sunny spells and heavy thundery showers. So, on to this evening and overnight. You can see that frontal system that caused those really grotty conditions today. It's slowly clearing eastwards across the UK overnight, giving really some fairly heavy rain as it passes by. Quite mild, though, mild conditions tucking in behind. Of course, it has been quite chilly overnight over the last so far this week. And then we look ahead to tomorrow and the all-important start for some of the bank holiday weekend. If you're taking that day off early, and I'm afraid it's not looking particularly nice. Certainly towards the eastern areas, a lot of cloud and rain around at first. It clears away fairly quickly, but we're left with a mixture of sunny spells and some heavy thundery showers. Best conditions, I think, across the more western parts. So western parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland, down across the West Country, and certainly a milder day as well. In the best of that brightness, away from the chilly east coast, we could see highs of 16 degrees 61 in Fahrenheit. And then on to Good Friday, and it certainly is looking good. Excuse the pun. We are expecting it to be a little bit cloudy across the far southeastern parts of the UK, but largely dry here. Elsewhere, bathed in sunshine and really feeling nice and warm as well, with temperatures on the rise.
Heinz Seriously Good Mayonnaise sponsors ITV National Weather.
So, rather flying in the face of tradition, we know what we would normally expect to see over a bank holiday weekend. I think I can actually promise something rather nice. All in all, it looks to be a cracking weekend of weather. Have a lovely Easter.
Ah, you too. Thank you for the good news, Becky. And finally, a year ago, Pam Willis decided she needed to do more to keep herself fit, so she took up powerlifting and found that she was pretty good at it. So good, in fact, that she's just won her first competition at the age of 86. Ian Woods went to meet her.
Oh, yeah. It's great for me. Exit and back down.
Pam Willis admits it took some courage to sign up for powerlifting at her local gym, but as you can see, she didn't take long to pick it up.
Oh, well, I was a bit wary to start with, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. But I'm one of those people that if I'm challenged to do something, I will do it. It won't beat me.
At a charity event, she was challenged to set a new personal best. She eventually reached 52 kilos. That's more than 8 stone.
There's a room full of about 40 people, which horrified me to start with. And I thought, well, I'm here, I might as well get on with it.
Her coach says Pam's efforts should inspire those of a similar vintage.
Go for it. I think it's proven to me that fitness is good for all ages, and Pam's a huge inspiration to so many people, including myself.
Now nearly 87, Pam used to keep fit alongside her late husband and played sport as a girl.
Hockey, tennis, long jump. In those days, weights and things weren't really thought about.
It was medicine balls in those days, wasn't it? It was big, heavy medicine balls.
Hey, hang on, I don't go back that far. Just hang on a minute. Hands down this way.
Pam is now so experienced that she can pass on tips to novices.
Push down and then up.
Proving that no matter how old you are when you take up a sport, it could be worth the wait.
Isn't it?
This is heavy, OK?
Isn't it? Now let it down, slowly.
Ian Woods, ITV News, Cambridgeshire.
One was enough. But Pam makes it look easy. That's it. Julie's back at 10 from me and all the team here. Bye-bye. Have a great evening.
Today is just about getting a clearer picture of what happened, your decision making. What is she hiding?
A brand new thriller, Malpractice. Coming soon to ITV1 and ITVX.
New Magnum Double Star Chaser and Sun Lover. Cracking chocolate, popcorn flavour and caramel sauce for the night. White chocolate, coconut and mango sauce for the day. Pleasure is always on.
At Tesco, we've made it easier to put on a feast this Easter. Whether you go for a delicious half-price beef roasting joint, a succulent half-price leg of lamb, or even both. Tesco, helping you have a cracking Easter. Save on every range. All these products are now at their lowest price ever. Only in the Oak Furnitureland Big Weekend. Ends Monday.
Watch it come to life. Inhale its aroma. Taste its perfection. Hear its gentle crack. Awaken your senses with Lindt Excellence from the Lindt Master Protected.
We are Tombola, Britain's biggest bingo site, where you'll find classic games like Bingo 90 and Bingo 75 Lines.
I love Bingo 75 Lines. 5 chances to win as well.
And there's bingo games you can't play anywhere else, like Pulse and Blocks.
If you want to try something different and new, Tombola's the one to go for.
Come join the fun at Tombola.
Video analysis was so key. I actually managed to find out that my opposition was very slow in the turn. That gave me such a competitive advantage. In business, you always are trying to look for that little bit of knowledge. The better you do that, the more you're able to succeed.
Sage gives businesses like Brian Habanas the tools and insights to make better decisions. Sage, helping business flow.
Sell your car the motorway way, where dealers compete to give you their best price. Music make you lose control.
Just sold the car. What? No way.
Yes way. Motorway, the way to sell your car.
Which word in the question below sounds like the odd one out? Yasmin Forbes. What did you put?
Why?
Because I need to know for a bit of chat.
I'm with my husband.
Where is he? Who's the cleverest?
Always me.
When you do it at home, is it always you?
When we do what, Lee?
You know what I'm asking. There's no need for filth.
Lee Mack returns with the 1% Club. Starts Saturday the 15th of April on ITV1 and ITVX.
Now on ITV1, Layla receives some shocking news in your Wednesday night visit to Emmerdale.
Can they watch Emmerdale in Emmerdale? If they can, I could watch someone in Emmerdale watching Emmerdale whilst watching Emmerdale.
Soap life is confusing. Confused.com sponsors Emmerdale.
Surprise.
Oh, well, the surprise is that you're still here. I thought you might have snuck out without saying goodbye, but here you are.
You could always ignore it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hello? I don't understand how. Right, okay, well, thank you, you know, for letting me know. Okay.
That didn't sound good. Obviously, you don't have to tell me.
It's Callum. He's been released on bail.
OK, I get it. He's still wound up.
Oh, I am way past wound up. Seriously, what part of you thought it was a good idea speaking to Charles?
I told you I had to.
No, what you had to do, Billy, was keep your mouth shut. Have you any idea what you've done?
Sorry. Nikki was heading out with Thomas and Tommy's just come in. My solicitor's been in touch. Alex has woken up.
I should have just told the police from the start. Now we could all go down for this, not just me.
It might not come to that. I'm going to talk to Alex.
There's no point. He won't listen.
Look, I let him inside my family. I let him run rings around us, damage us. This is my mess, and I need to clean it up.
You see, that's the trouble with a small village. Can't avoid the people you really like to avoid.
Maybe we just need to try harder.
Yeah, I know. It'll be being monitored and that, but...
Yeah, and he'll know the second he takes the wrong move, he'll be back inside, he won't be getting out. OK? Hey. See you later.
Your brother and your best friend's wife. Could get awkward. Don't worry, don't have to walk on eggshells around me. Whatever happened with Kim, you and Gabby, the job, I'm staying out of it.
So me and you were good?
Nothing's changed. Listen, I know that she can be quite hard work sometimes. How do you think I feel? I married her.
She's just been protective. I get it, but me and Gabby...
Nothing to do with me. The one thing I have learned in this life is you can't choose who rocks your boat. So if Gabby rocks yours...
I'm pretty sure Kim would like to sink that boat right now.
And I'm pretty sure who was rocking Caleb's boat last night.
Who?
Layla.
The wedding woman.
That's her. I saw him coming out of hers this morning.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What's the emergency, Chef? You didn't walk that fast before the stroke.
Wow. It's not an emergency, Cherry. I'm meeting Ronna for lunch and I'm already late.
Sorry, you're the chef?
Depends if you enjoyed the meal.
Those scallops, honestly, probably the best I've tasted.
Oh, thank you. They're hand-dived.
Not by him. He would be out of his depth in a puddle. Oh, my God. What are you doing here?
Sorry, I was just on my way.
But I think she's probably talking to me.
You know each other?
Should do. He's possibly the worst mistake of my life. Meet my ex-husband.
Hey, sorry, I had to rearrange. Something came up.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I know what that something was. Don't worry, I really don't want details.
So I think I owe you another apology. Gabby and Nikki, whatever it is they've got going on, I should have told you.
Correct.
Yeah, I made a bad call. I just hope that it doesn't jeopardize our business arrangement. What's this?
Concerns about the stud farm project. Problems that need solving, questions that need answering.
Then I will get you the answers.
You can't do that now.
No, because I want to give you the right answers.
When I go to a meeting, I go prepared.
Yeah, so do I. But I don't expect to have to wear a bulletproof jacket.
I'm not firing bullets, Caleb. Just questions. The thing is, right now, I get the feeling that you've become a little distracted.
Then that'd be a mistake. I don't do distracted. And I never take my eye off the ball.
Your heart's still in this project?
100%.